Good morning, brethren, and welcome to our bi-weekly program entitled A Glance at the Words, which is broadcast live on Facebook every Monday and every Wednesday at 8 a.m. West Africa time, which is GMT +1, which means that now it is 7 a.m. GMT. Today is Monday, the 25th of April, 2022. And our topic this morning is entitled, Our Hardship Cannot Destroy God's Vision for Us. Our hardship cannot destroy God's vision for us. Let's read the book of Genesis, chapter 37. Today we're going to stay in the book of, or in the story of Joseph only. So, Genesis chapter 37, verses 5 to 9. Genesis 37, 5 to 9. Let's read. Now Jacob had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, Please hear this dream which I have dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And indeed your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf. And his brothers said to him, Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Then he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers and said, Look, I have dreamed another dream, and this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me. You see, God had a vision for Jacob's son Joseph. God had a great and glorious vision for Joseph. You know, God has a vision for each of us. God has a vision for every genuine born-again Christian. Apart from the general, the common dream, the common vision, to meet him in heaven one day, to be saved and so on. He had a specific vision for each of us. You may not know, or you may not be aware what that vision actually is, but that vision does exist. What you have to do when you don't know about that vision is to pray and at the same time be sensitive to the action of the Holy Spirit, so that you'll be able to know the vision that God has for you. In the scripture that we read, and Genesis chapter 37, verses 5 to 9, we see that God had a vision for Joseph. And God told Joseph that vision. He eventually showed him the vision that he had for him. He showed it to Joseph himself. When God has a specific vision with you, when God has a specific vision for you, God will certainly show you that vision. He will tell you the vision that he has for you. You are the one to be very attentive and very cautious not to miss the opportunity when God decides to tell you the vision or to show you the vision. Because he's certainly going to do it. So God showed Joseph the vision that he had for him. God showed Joseph the glorious and great vision that he had for Joseph. And Joseph shared that vision with his brothers. This made his brothers hate him very much. You know, it is not always safe to share with other people the vision that God has for you. I mean the specific vision that he has only for you. It's not always safe to share it with anybody. Unless God convinces you, or unless the vision implies sharing it with others, it is most of the time much safer to keep your vision for yourself, or only to share it with those people whom you know very well that they will not become either jealous or your enemies because of that vision. You know, not everybody who smiles with you is happy with your happiness. Not everybody who smiles with you is happy for your success. Not everybody actually loves you deeply. Not everybody who calls you best friend is actually your friend. Not each of your family members is willing to see you succeed in whatever you do. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 10, verse 36. He said, a man's enemies will be those of his own household. So there will be people around you, your family members, who will not be happy at all when you succeed or when you have a vision. So in the case of Joseph, his own brothers, not cousins, brothers, not friends, brothers, not acquaintances, brothers, his own brothers became his enemies. His brothers hated him to death. Certainly, when he shared his dreams with his brothers, he expected them to jump with joy and to admire him positively. Yet, he experienced a different response. His brothers were very angry at him. You know, I even wonder why he felt obliged to share with his brothers the vision that God had for him. He already knew that his brothers didn't love him. He already knew that his brothers hated him. He knew it because it is recorded in the Bible. That he normally couldn't expect them to be happy for his scheduled bright future. If you know any person at your side who either doesn't like you or doesn't share your deepest opinions, don't ever share your vision with that person. It won't do for your good. In the best case, that person will try to discourage you. But in the worst case, that person will fight in a way or another to make sure that your vision would never be fulfilled. And this is what happened in the case of Joseph. So Joseph told his vision to his brothers, and his brothers hated him more than ever. They hated him more than before. They were already hating him because he was a good guy. compared to them. He was a good child. While they were doing evil things, he used to report those evil things to their father. I don't know why he was reporting those evil things. Maybe he expected his father to correct them so that his brothers would improve, would become better. I don't know. But his brothers hated him for that. And now he shared a vision, God's vision for his life, God's glorious vision for him. He shared it with his brothers, and his brothers hated him even more. They hated him very much. They hated him to death. Let's read in the same book of Genesis 37. Let's read verses 18 to 21, then verse 28. So Genesis chapter 37, verses 18 to 21 and verse 28. Verses 18 to 21 and verse 28. Now, when they saw him afar off, so when Joseph's brothers saw Joseph afar off, now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, Then they said to one another, look, this dreamer is coming. Come, therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say, some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what will become of his dreams. But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let's not kill him. Verse 28. Verse 28. Then Midianite traders passed by, so the brothers pulled Jacob up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver, and they took Joseph to Egypt. Now, Joseph's brothers were Joseph's closest relatives, of course, yet they became his fiercest enemies. They became his fiercest enemies. The fact that somebody is close to you, the fact that somebody is very close to you is not a guarantee that he or she will rejoice with you when you share your vision with them. It's not a guarantee at all. They may even be your fiercest enemies. They might rather seek to kill or to destroy your vision in a way or another. Joseph's brothers were determined to destroy Joseph's vision, be it by killing their brother Joseph. They wanted that vision never to be fulfilled. They clearly didn't want Joseph's vision to be fulfilled. They decided on the destruction of Joseph's vision. There will always be people around you who would always be endeavoring for your vision never to be fulfilled. This you have to know. Yet, even though they do, nothing, I clearly say nothing, can ever prevent God from doing what he has decided to do. One can delay the fulfillment of God's vision, but one cannot cancel it. One cannot destroy it. One cannot kill your vision. Let's see it in Genesis chapter 43. Here we're going to read two different scriptures. Genesis 43, verses 26 to 28. Genesis 43, verses 26 to 28. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed down before him to the earth. Though this is Joseph's brothers. When Joseph came home, Joseph's brothers brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed down before him to the earth. Then he asked them about their well-being and said, Is your father well? The old man of whom you spoke, is he still alive? And they answered, Your servant, our father, is in good health. He is still alive. And they bowed their heads down and prostrated themselves. Let's also read Genesis 45, verse 9. Genesis 45, verse 9. Hurry and go up to my father. It's Joseph speaking. Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, Thus says your son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry. So you see, despite all the efforts of Joseph's brothers to destroy Joseph's vision, things didn't happen according to their plans. Many years after God gave Joseph his vision, many years after, Joseph was hated and sold by his brothers. Many years after Joseph's brothers were convinced that they have destroyed Joseph's vision, Joseph's brothers bowed down before their brother Joseph, exactly as was the case in the dream that God showed or gave Joseph. This was the fulfillment of one part of the vision. That Joseph's brothers bowed down before Joseph, even though the reason why they wanted to sell him was because they didn't want this vision to be fulfilled. They even made certain that it never be fulfilled at all. Yet, it was fulfilled. Because God doesn't need anyone's permission to do whatever he wants or whatever he decides to do. So no matter what you are going through, no matter your hardship, God's vision for you will be fulfilled. And in verse, in the next verse that we read later, chapter 45, verse 9, we see that even the second dream of Joseph, which was the second part of the glorious vision, Joseph had become a great ruler in Egypt. Egypt that was the superpower of the world in those times. And Joseph had become second to Pharaoh. He was become the Lord of Egypt. In fact, he was mightier than Pharaoh himself. It's only the title that made Pharaoh above him. So, God's vision for Joseph was fulfilled despite all that Joseph's brothers have done for it to never be fulfilled. So no matter what you are passing through, no matter your hardship, no matter the hindrances that you might be experiencing in the course of your life, know that God's vision for you will not be destroyed. Our hardship cannot destroy God's vision for us. Know it and trust God fully for that. God bless you abundantly beyond all your expectations, and have a very nice week.